Hello and welcome back to the channel. Andy here, and welcome back to the latest instalment of the Classic Cars in Motorsport series. We're into the month of June. 2019 is firing away at the speed of light, it seems, and of course June means one thing for motorsport fans. It's Le Mans 24-hour month. The race taking place next weekend on the 15th of June, 15th and 16th of June. The teams have already been at the Circuit de la Sarthe for a test day. We've got qualifying coming up this week. It's one of the most popular and well-known races in the world, and what we're looking through, as always, is some of the classic cars from back into the 60s up to the present day that have graced the great 8+ mile circuit. And we're starting quite conveniently as well, considering the release of a latest film trailer with two amazing cars. The first one is this one, the Ford GT40. This is the 1967 Mark IV version of the car. This was a car that finally took Ford to victory at Le Mans 4 years running in 66, 67, 68 and 69. A little bit of history behind the car first of all though. Henry Ford II, who was obviously running Ford, obviously the top honcho, he wanted a Ford at Le Mans since the early 60s. Now in about 63, rumours got about that Ferrari were interested in selling the company, and Ford spent many millions doing audits and assets, all the legal stuff, etc. And an offer was on the table and was withdrawn and basically ripped up by Enzo Ferrari at the last minute when he realised that he was going to lose control of the motorsport arm of Ferrari, the Scuderia Ferrari as we know it as today. And he did not want that. It also meant he wouldn't be able to look at maybe entering the Indy 500, things like that. And Ferrari went, no, not going ahead with that, ta-ta, I'll keep my company. Henry Ford was furious. He was not happy at all and instructed his team to figure out a way to make a car to beat Ferrari at Le Mans. They started some negotiations with the likes of Lotus, Lola and Cooper. Cooper had no experience in GTs. Its performance was on the decline in Formula 1. Lotus was already a Ford partner, but there was worries from Ford executives about how Lotus could handle such a project. And it's thought that Colin Chapman thought the same because he put up an exorbitant fee, basically. So eventually they went with Lola, and they basically used the Lola Mark VI, known as a Lola GT, as a base. And it was one of the most advanced racing cars of its time. Made some noted performances at Le Mans 1963, but didn't finish. Had some mechanical problems, low gearing, it was slow revving out onto the Mulsanne straight, but the general perspective of the car and that iconic shape that you're looking at right now was already there. So the agreement went ahead and they used obviously that car, and it got the name 40 because it was 40 inches from from top to bottom, basically. Very low car. The early versions of the car were a handful, I think would be the easiest way to put it. They were extremely difficult, powered by the big block V8s that Ford is known for. And, they'd done well at certain races, but they just could never crack Le Mans. They could never get the 24 hours. So they turned to Caroll Shelby, well-known US tuner, and he took on the project of getting the cars up and running and trying to finally get them success. He employed Ken Miles as a test driver, and before long, finally, Ford were ready to take on Ferrari at Le Mans. 1966 was the first year that they finally managed it, but yet made a bit of a PR disaster because they tried to orchestrate a near photo finish, shall we say, between the two cars that were first and second at the end. However, it was based on greatest distance covered, and the car of Chris Amon and Bruce McLaren started third on the grid, so even though they crossed the line pretty much together, that car had covered more miles, meaning that they actually picked up the victory, not the car that had the likes of Ken Miles in it, and he would then die a few months later. Testing the latest version of the car, which wasn't too good at all. So that wasn't great, but it was the start of 4 glorious years for Ford, and we're going to try and take this beast around the Nordschleife. This is not going to be easy at all. Shall we see how I handled it? Let's have a look. Right, another attempt to get this car around. They always take a few attempts, these things, but this one is really starting to take the biscuit. But we'll see what we can do. Up to turn 1. It's got to get it slowed down and plenty of time for the corners. That's what I've got to do. Down the hill, and I've got to be careful through here because I've lost it a few times in early runs. You can see the back end just wants to step out on me there as it comes down the hill. You hear the brakes locking up, just trying to keep it rolling and pointing towards the apex of the corners. Curbs not your friends in this car by a long shot. You want to be really careful with some of the curbs here. Flugplatz is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Up through the gears now, up to 3rd gear. Probably going to leave it in 3rd at the moment over the rise here, because the car, as you'll see, does like to try and take off, and it does want to try and snap loose on you through there, but it'll oversteer on the way through. The bumps in the road will bring it up to force just to stop it from getting too high in the revs, and again just want to lift off over that little rise. A little dab of brakes into this corner here, but you can still carry some decent speed through it. And here the brakes again just locking up into the corner, and out we come, pointing in the right direction still for the moment. You've got to be so precise with this car, which it doesn't want you to do. It's very twitchy, it's very nervous. It's obviously got 60s brakes, so you know you're getting the brakes early. I've noticed it likes to lock up quite a bit as well. Nice and easy through this sector. But it's still a fun car to drive. Just when you're trying to get a lap in, it gets very frustrating. Coming up to this little bit here, I'm definitely not going to be able to go flat out through this sector. Get on the brakes early to get it turned in. Once again, the car just trying to break away a little bit from it. Keep it in 2nd. Get it turned in nicely to the right-hander. And the power on the way out. V8 engine in the back, of course. Nearly 500 American stallions in the back, throwing it out to the rear wheels. Makes it a very leery ride indeed if you get on the power a bit too early. Early on the brakes for this sector here. Down to 1st gear, nice and easy. Get so careful around here. And the drivers back in the days driving these flat out, man, did they have some guts with them, some balls. Because this is not easy, even just from sitting here in the comfort of what is my home, and it's just such a tricky thing to do. Easy through Bergwick, we could maybe have gone a bit quicker through there, but I ain't taking the chance. And now we've got a tricky section which is normally flat out in a more modern car, but in this, no chance. Going to take 4th early just to help me out, and I'm basically half throttling it through some of these curves just to avoid the rear end stepping out, so we're not getting up to the speed I'd want to. Now it's just rising, just look at the speed rise. So we come up to here, I'm going to have to brake and downshift through here though. There's no way I'm getting through here flat out. I've probably gone a bit quicker, but again, it's been a bit more cautious than I would want to be. I just can't get the trust in this car to do what I want. Down to 1st gear. coming up to the carousel. Now this part of the track we're coming up to now, I'd say it every week, every video, it's a part I'm not too keen on. At the best of times, and in this thing, it's not going to be easy at all. So I'm just going to nice and easy through here, freaking hell. Down to second, into the right hander. You can see the car just, I can just feel it as I'm trying to turn just through the wheel. You can just feel it trying to step out on you. It just wants to move in a different direction to where you're actually wanting to go. But nicely through that area there. It's going to keep it in third, keep the revs low. Just run a bit wide. We'll ignore the invalidation because I'm not really giving a damn about that. We're already up to 5 minutes and we've still got a good chunk of the course to go. Up to YouTube corner, always a lot tighter than I anticipate it to be in most cars. I'm going to leave it in second, putting the brakes into here, and now we're coming down to that tricky little jump section that you get as well, so I'm going to quickly go to third just to try and minimise the wheel spin. Dab of brakes before and then down a gear after it as well with a bit of braking. Through there quite nicely. We're getting towards the end of the lap now and I am absolutely sweating buckets here trying to get this done, and it's just, I just don't feel I can get my foot down hard enough to get up through the gears. It's been a tame lap, I must be honest, but by God is it giving me a workout. The only thing that gave me a bigger workout than this car would be the 91730, the Can-Am car from earlier on. That was an absolute monster, but with that one we had 1200 plus horsepower out the rear wheels. This is only 500, so not quite as much. Now we can let the car sing. Up to 5th gear. Hold it straight as we can along this long back straight. Will we be able to get upwards of 180 or more? I'm going to be taking it easy through the kink over here. Struggling to hit 180. There it is, 180 miles an hour. Got a little turn to the left, flat out we've managed. But I am braking very early for this, because I do not trust the car to slow down enough. Ooh, just about went wide there, caught it in the nick of time. Final corner, we have made it round, and over the line we go. It's a 7:23.1. Whew, that was a hard lap. It's a fun car to drive, but it will really test you as well, and you need to be on the ball. I could probably with more time and a proper setup go quicker than that, maybe get into a low 7-minute sort of lap time, but I would have to be perfect on every corner. It's such a tricky car to drive, but it is so iconic as well, and give it a go if you haven't. The adversary to this is the 330p, the Ferrari. Now you're not going to see that in June, but you will see that into the first week in July, because July's Ferrari month, so I'm going to leave that one for there, and we can revisit the rivalry between Ford and Ferrari as we move into July and out of June as well. So keep an eye out for that next month. Next time out we are in a rotary special. It is the iconic and well loved Mazda 787B, and it's going to be a comparison lap. We're going to have it on Assetto Corsa and, first time on this Classic Motorsport Series, GT Sport as well. So we'll see what the comparison difference is between the two and see what we can do with the Mazda. But that is it for this week. Thank you very much for joining me as always. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit subscribe as well while you're here. Up to over 130 subs, heading next target 150. Help me get there, share the channel as well, comment below, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Until then, my name is Andy. Until the next video, I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.